Peace, peace. Happy now. Now is the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Too far in the past or too far in the future. Right now. What a speak on the medicinal aspects of like working with crystals. And it's also kind of gonna tie into the aspect of making sure like you're not rushing, like there's no rush on our spiritual growth, and like we don't want to rush and we don't want to procrastinate. We want to find ourselves somewhere in the balance of that energy where we're not rushing because there is no shortcuts. We're dealing with what we're dealing with for a reason. We got to sit there and deal with it for a reason. And also making sure we're not procrastinating, making sure we're not sitting in the energy too long, to the point where we just really don't do nothing about it and we just sitting there with it, you know what I'm saying, not healing it. As a matter of fact, like you could like jump into a new experience before the old ones have been digested, and jumping into new experiences before the old ones have been digested is the equivalent to running away and may lead to greater problems or confusion. Because for myself, like I've been having to go back into my old tablets, I've been sitting and journaling a lot, but just making sure, like, even down to like doing this video, allowing for it to be like just a vibe that came to me strongly, and not something like, oh, all right, I gotta create a video or I gotta, like, nah. Because if no video content coming up, I just really still need to be working on certain little aspects that I may have not fully grounded into my understanding. Because a lot of times, reason why we experience lesson loops, it could be from the aspect of, again, just being completely oblivious to what's going on. But for the most part, like, we may have like, all right, I'm aware that this comes from, my childhood. All right, next. You know what I'm saying? Like, just acknowledging it, but then not sitting there and really, giving forgiveness and taking away judgment towards the situation, and tapping in, visualizing, and to each his own on how deep you may have to go in tapping into, healing this energy. But it takes more than and not making it sound hard, but a lot of times, again, I even say it takes more, but just sometimes we may move past things quickly without really sitting there and tending to it. You know what I'm saying? That's like a medical surgeon, like, just like, you got a gash this big, but he just take 3 stitches and like, all right, I'm done, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, this shit gonna bust back open. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit gonna start bleeding out again. You know what I'm saying? Because you only put 3 stitches and you rush to do it. You know what I'm saying? And that analogy could be placed in connection with, healing ourselves energetically. Making sure we're not just like on no, oh, hurry up and quick fix and then I'm out. And again, it's a balance. Again, like, not jumping into new experiences before the old ones have been digested is the equivalent to running away and can lead to greater problems or confusions. And on the flip side, also being aware to not continuously babysit or nurse a problem after it has been healed. So again, like, not sitting there and babysitting and nursing something that has been healed, like where you done the work and you still sitting there with it. Now you kind of like in that procrastination aspect. So again, like, you got the rushing aspect and you got the procrastination aspect, and you want to be in the middle space where you're not rushing nor procrastinating. But again, because in a situation where you like sitting there nursing and babysitting a problem and it has been healed, like, this is where it would be a good time to have a new experience. Like, all right, it's time for something new because I really, sat here and got the lesson out of the situation. and hence being impeccable with our memory with whatever it is, because that's what it basically is too. It's like learning it to a point of where it's lodged into your memory where you won't make the mistake again. Because say for instance, if I forget that a stove is hot, then I'm gonna go and put my hand right back on the stove. But if I have that experience of getting burnt from the stove, and then I really sit there and like, all right, bro, gotta remember that this stove is hot, bro. Like, this is a hot stove. When you put your hand on it, it burns. Remember that last burn you got from putting your hand on the stove. Like just sitting there again, and however it is for you, like with dealing with a certain energy, but again with a lot of healing aspects of like subconscious programming and stuff like from our human ego from the past. It takes an aspect of forgiving ourselves, because again realizing like we are not our human persona as much as we are playing out this thing as universal frequencies or Carl Ray. I am not Carl Ray, I'm not universal frequencies. I am playing the role of universal frequencies in this lifetime, but that is not who I am. So I forgive the humanity aspect within this role I'm playing that did such and such or this and that, and I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to judge, this aspect of my being, because shit, within any lifetime or at any point, I could have, done these things or operate in a certain way that could be judged, but again, like, it's like judging myself. So because again it starts with judging yourself, and that's why you judge others. So removing the judgment, having forgiveness, and showing compassion to that aspect. But why I'm bringing this up too, because using crystals for like medicinal reasons, like, and I called the vibe to be aware that as I'm working with high vibrational crystals, like, to not allow for it to be like a shortcut in disguise, or like something that's trying to make me move fast past something, without really getting the lesson and really learning and seeing what it was I should learn from the experience. So with that being said, just being aware that when you're working with like high vibrational crystals, or like a petalite or moldavite comes to mind, and then I'm working with a Herkimer diamond right now. But like, we're working with these crystals, make sure it's not to a point of like, like where it's giving off this energy where you low key like using it as a shortcut, or like a Russian aspect, and you're not really paying attention to the lessons that's being brought up for you to learn. Because again, it's like understanding how and why you got sick, and that's how you prevent yourself from getting sick again. Because again, you could, again, like a crystal being in the analogy of like a medicine, whether it be a herb or a pill or whatever. Let's just say for the example of it, I could take a bunch of like, oh, I got a cold or whatever, I'm gonna just take a bunch of pills for that cold, and then bam, come some weeks or months later, damn, I got a cold again, or I'm gonna just throw back. But if I'm not like paying attention, like get to a point like, all right, why am I catching these colds like this? Like, why do I keep catching the cold? It gotta be some type of reason. Either I'm not washing my hand, and again for the human aspect of it, because I'm not really into that aspect of, but to each his own. Of like, did I wash my hands, or did I do, X, or did I shake hands with a bunch of people who had colds, or whatever. But like really tapping in and seeing, and as you tap in and see the source of that sickness, now you could also focus on solutions. Like, all right, well, how can I prevent this from happening again? And again, like keeping memory of it. Like, I remember when I caught that cold. I remember what was the source of the cold. And I remember, what was the solution, as well. But again, like understanding how and why you got sick, you know. And again, it's not for us to dwell on the how and why for too long either, Again, like it's a balance, like, seeing how and why the sickness came about. And then, like once you tap into that and see what's the source, now tapping into the solution, and working on the solution to help heal that aspect. And again, like with the crystals can be used to help you heal, but ultimately it's about understanding what's what 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 is needed to be healed and why. You know, like, because again, it could be a certain subconscious programming that's running, that no longer serves your highest good. You know, like say for instance, lack. Like the aspect of lack, like dealing with abundance. So you just get yourself some pyrite and green aventurine, and you just like, all right, I'm good now. I ain't gonna see what the source of that energy is, or like how it, I'm just get some, pyrite and aventurine and just think it could heal it. And then all of a sudden you might lose your pyrite or aventurine, or you know you're in a situation where it just feel like the crystal's not working no more, and that lackful energy pops back up. Well, that's because you didn't really see what was the source and heal it from you know the aspect of seeing what's the source of the problem and what's the solution to heal it you know from that source. Like working with that source, like, all right, if it was because my mom and dad told me a certain thing, you know like what is my, like, focus on, all right, yeah, it comes from the aspect of watching my mom and dad penny pinch, or them telling me that money isn't everything, or like telling me that money is bad, like, recognizing these aspects, and then again, like seeing the source of it, and then focusing on the solutions again, and not placing judgment on yourself and your parents, forgiving yourself and your parents, because we chose our situations we in, you know what I'm saying? But again, understanding what's going on, because a crystal can chase away the symptoms, but because you don't understand the source of the sickness, that sickness can pop back up again. And that's why, again, it sometimes we may go through that sickness popping back up again, because we haven't been like having a true understanding of like how and why this sickness exists and what's the source of it, because again, even with me doing this video and having this vibe, like if something coming up for me strongly to even do a video on, I need to also be aware of it within my realm and reality as well. So like making sure that even though I'm working with this Herkimer Diamond, I'm working with Moldavite, like being sure to be aware that I'm not trying to rush, that I'm still like being in my now moment and seeing like, all right, why am I here? Like, and what are the solutions to movement from out of this place that I no longer want to, experience, and be in space, neither good or bad. This just is a space that I no longer want to experience, you know. And again, everything is at our own pace, so don't compare yourself to nobody. Again, because that's where the rushing come in. Oh, I gotta get here at this point because so and so already there. The full moon came and they already on point with their manifestations. Why it's not happening for me? This and that. Because you're not them and you on a different path. You know what I'm saying? Like, just focus on it from your realm of reality. Again, and on the flip side, again, to not also be procrastinating, just feeling like, oh, everything is destiny and I could just sit here and not do shit and everything is gonna just come, so I'm not even gonna do anything, or I'm gonna just continuously focus on, these, the how and why I'm sick without really focusing on solutions. So I'm gonna just stay, again, like procrastinate, like to the extreme where it's not helping, because again, the Herkimer Diamond, using that as an example, because it came to me, because the Herkimer Diamond helps with like I feel that it does help with clear cognizance, but it definitely amplifies clairvoyant abilities, telepathic abilities. Matter of fact, that with Super 7 would be like very on point with like boosting the communication with higher self, but also with just telepathic energies and sending messages in that manner. But and the Herkimer diamond raises our vibration to the highest point it can while still allowing for some grounded energy. And again, like that's the aspect of what's been my main focus is making sure I'm not rushing, and also making sure I'm not procrastinating and being in the middle of that, in that middle spot, in that middle passage, you know. And also realizing too that because a lot of, past life karma is coming up to be purged out, that again, like I always bring up, sometimes it's relevant to our now moment to deal with some past situations, and sometimes it's relevant to our now moment to tap into the future. But at the end of the day, don't get lost in the past or future, because all you got is the moment that's right in front of you, because you heal your past and create your future right now, But lately, dealing with the physical separation between me and love language, and being able to express that, because at first I felt like an egoic vibe of like, not wanting to express it because feeling like, feeling some type of shame or something. But then I always realizing, like, again, that's because you're trying to, that's that aspect of the ego trying to hold myself to this guru aspect, or like spirituality is all perfect and it's butterflies and sunshine throughout the whole experience, which is fraudulent. What I'm saying? Like, you do go through things, you do go through shifts that strong, or like situations change up that you might have not thought would change up, or whatever the case may be. But but like back to being in the now moment and still like, feeling that connection, feeling that connection between me and Tatiana, and that whole aspect of like, sometimes it will pop up like, where you in the past. But again, like, I just did a video on my Instagram where like if it come up as a thought, in a lot of cases that's more so a thought form of some type of subconscious programming or something, because what I'm feeling in the moment is I feel that I should sit here with this energy and really, allow for it to flow, and not just, all right, let's hurry up and just on to the next one. I gotta act like I'm over it. Like, I gotta act like I'm over us, separating the physical. So just stop thinking about it, stop, and it's like, nah, it's providing some healing in my now moment to tap into that past situation, So, right now you may be experiencing, connecting with, again, like whether it's past lives or past issues within this lifetime. If you find yourself, find yourself in a place where those energies are coming up in your now moment, that's because it's meant for you to deal with right now. Like, in some way, form, or fashion, you may have been trying to numb it out by like, or ignore it by like doing something else, like, oh, let me just try to do something else, or let me just try to numb it out with some smoking or drinking, or whatever the case may be, where you need to really sit there with that energy and really see what's going on and how to heal it, and not try to run away from it, because you can't run away from yourself. Like, that's the whole aspect of things coming up to the forefront, because you've been running, not shining a conscious light on it in the shadow. From not shining the light, it becomes a big shadow, and that big shadow becomes something that just has to come up, because again, nothing is being allowed to hide no longer. Like, again, like Aquarius age, information age, and it's the information that's coming up inside of us, like we seeing, tapping into all the depths of our past lives and our subconscious mind to the fullest, where there's no stone going unturned, where we seeing like where everything stems from in our subconscious mind, and you can't run from that. You know what I'm saying? In the moment you try to run from it, it's just gonna come back to you. Because another reason why, again, like getting into lesson loops is because you didn't really sit there and fully learn that lesson. You try to just replace it with some other little activity or some type of other situation or whatever the case may be, and really, you didn't sit there and acknowledge it, and release judgment and forgive yourself for it, and and go through the steps you should go through to to heal that energy. So again, lately, the past for me, lately the past has been coming up, but again, like it's for me to heal it, you know, because you're not necessarily just dwelling in the past to dwell in the past. There's a difference when you just focusing on some shit that don't need to be healed, or you already worked on it, it's healed, and you just going back to like focusing on it, like, oh man, I remember when I was shit poor and I ain't had shit, you know, and I'm just going back to this, just you know what I'm saying, like it doesn't serve a purpose, in that sense of it. I mean, I can say that if you are going back to it though in some way, form, or fashion, that's also pointing to the aspect of how much more, healing in the moment is needed in order to release that lackful mind frame. But for the most part, because again, I don't like to use that terminology where, like, I feel like all things are for your highest good, even the negative aspects, or even like the trauma. Like, even going through the trauma is, for your highest good, in the sense where this human experience is a part of like, learning about ourselves and having, you know, uh, there's pain in order for there to be pleasure, you know what I'm saying? And realizing that it is one coin, like it's two sides to one coin and not two separate things, but just opposite sides of the same energy, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's another thing we're coming into this oneness consciousness, so that's why it's like no good or bad, no right or wrong, and just kind of perspective, you know, like the whole aspect. But that's basically it. As far as like, I just want to raise that awareness. We're dealing with high vibrational crystals, making sure you're not using them to run away from a situation or try to speed up the process. Like, there is no speeding up the process, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, working with certain crystals should be to bring clarity for you to really, deal with whatever the energy is, and not for you to try to rush past it, like, oh, let me get this motivate to hurry up and transform. Like, well, what it's really doing, again, like it may be spoken on like it helps for like a quick transformation, but it's more so a quick transformation due to you really being able to be aware of, like, what situations need to be healed, and what's the root to causing those situations, and what's the solution of it, like seeing the full aspect of it, without running away from it, because the transformation comes through facing ourselves and not running away from ourselves. So, it only comes through with the quote unquote quickness due to you, in essence, in a paradoxical way, taking your time with it, you know what I'm saying, or like, and not rushing. So just, have that awareness when working with high vibrational crystals, to not use them to try to run away or rush the process, because there is no rushing and there is no running away. You're going to have to sit with yourself, whether you move from LA to Louisiana, like wherever you go, your energy follows you. You know what I'm saying? So you can't run away from yourself, at all. So just always be aware of that aspect. But that's basically it. Yo, that's it. I ain't gonna get us nothing. Peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past.